Revealed. The incredible sleeping position you never knew could transform your stroke risk at 50. Mary hadn't thought much about her sleeping position until that fateful day when Dr. Stevens delivered alarming news. The weight of her world hung heavy on her shoulders, and the idea that the way she slept could influence her health felt absurd. But with bills stacking up and the memories of her husband still fresh as autumn leaves ready to fall, urgency surged through her as the scent of fresh apple pie wafted from the diner down the street. Mary's heart sank. She was a single mom, raising 2 kids in a small Midwestern town filled with tightly knit communities. Every day, she donned a mask of resilience, but inside, she was fighting battles more daunting than the crops that swayed in the fields beyond her home. Her children, Alex and Jamie, looked up to her with wide eyes, filled with hopes of college dreams and doing better than their parents ever did. Yet, unbeknownst to them, their mother lay awake at night, her heart pounding like the relentless drum of a farmer's tractor, contemplating the burdens that loomed over them. From next door, the sound of Mrs. Thompson as soft humming drifted through the screen door. The retired nurse, with her salt and pepper hair and warm eyes, often joined Mary on the porch for sweet tea. During those moments, they exchanged stories of heartache and healing under the splendid Midwestern sky. But little did Mary know how profound those conversations would turn out to be. Mary, Mrs. Thompson said one evening, leaning in closer, "Your health is important too. I've seen many mothers like you neglect themselves in the name of duty." A twinge of guilt tugged at Mary's heart as she remembered her late husband as hard-working hands, and her stubborn vow to keep him proud. "I can't think of that right now," she replied, still holding on her burdens like a life buoy in turbulent waters. But amidst that sweet tea and heartfelt discussion poured out a precious nugget of knowledge how the slightest adjustment to her sleeping position could ease her health risks. The idea felt foreign to her, insufficient against the overwhelming reality of her life, yet curiosity peeked through. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. In the days that followed, as the winds whistled through the rustling cornfields, Mary found comfort in her growing friendship with Mrs. Thompson. Together, they began unwrapping mysteries of health, and the gentle nudging of self-care crept into Mary's cautious heart. That push turned into an unexpected revelation, self-acceptance in her vulnerability, shedding layers of pride like old bark off a gnarled tree. Then a surprising wave swept through the community. Neighbors began showing up with casseroles, pitching in with carpooling, and raising funds for Mary and her family. Something stirred deeply in her, a mix of disbelief and warmth, the kind rarely felt in such isolating times. With each small act of kindness, she started to realize her worth wasn't predicated on the sacrifices she made, but rather the love she shared with her village. Yet, as the days marched on, Mary wrestled with the tension of accepting help. What if it made her weak? What if she couldn't repay that kindness? Just as she teetered on the precipice of acceptance, an unexpected turn shook her world and left her quaking in uncertainty. Could she nurture the change blossoming inside her? Would she have the courage to leap into the brightness awaiting her? Or would fear hold her hostage? With her children anxious yet hopeful glances, Mary found herself right on the edge of transformation, with her heart racing into the unknown. The next morning, Mary woke before the sun kissed the horizon. Rays of golden light began to push their way through the curtains, illuminating her small bedroom in a warm glow. She sat up, the mattress creaking beneath her, and her heart raced as she remembered her doctor's words. The weight of her sleep habits felt heavier now, pressing down on her like the winter snow that covered the field behind her house. She glanced over to the picture of her husband on the nightstand, a handsome smile frozen in time. eyes glistening with kindness. That memory stirred something deep inside her, a familiar ache that felt like an old coat she just couldn't shake off. She drew a deep breath, inhaling courage like a lifeline thrown in turbulent waters. Today would be different. After hastily preparing breakfast for Alex and Jamie, the children hopped around the kitchen, full of energy, their laughter punctuating the somber morning routine. Mary watched them, a swirl of pride and sorrow woven together. "Will you guys help me with something today?" she asked, her voice rising above the clatter of dishes. "Sure, Mom," Alex replied, wiping chocolate syrup from his mouth after finishing his pancakes. "I want to clean up the yard." It's a big job," Mary explained. They exchanged curious glances, a mix of intrigue and concern dancing in their eyes. "And I thought it might be nice to make a space for your dad," she continued softly. What started as a simple chore quickly turned into a labor of love. The kids grabbed light shovels while Mary, on a deeper level, wrestled with her own past. Each weed pulled up was like loosening the grip of despair that had grown like a wild vine around her heart. They laughed and shared stories about their dad, memories spilling out like shining treasures. As the sun climbed higher, Mary felt the warmth on her skin begin to peel back layers of emotional frost. She swept up old leaves and debris, and with each motion she took swinging the rake, digging into stubborn earth, she could feel small fragments of weight lifting away. Freedom felt like an echo of laughter between her children's voices. But as the work progressed, unease crept back. Would it be enough? The fear of caring for herself while tending to her children gnawed at her quietly. A sudden thought gripped her. Maybe she didn't need to carry this all alone. Mrs. Thompson had opened a door, gently nudged her toward a new path. As Mary paused, wiping sweat from her brow, an idea struck her, lighting her heart. "Let's invite Mrs. Thompson over for lunch," she suggested, watching the kids' faces light up. "We can make that apple pie she loves." "Great idea, Mom," Jamie exclaimed, already racing into the house for the recipe. The day changed from morning to afternoon, the table filled with warm aromas, and laughter echoed in every corner of their cozy home. The doorbell rang, and Mary's stomach fluttered with excitement and a hint of nerves. Would Mrs. Thompson see the shift in Mary? Would she feel the same warmth from their shared conversations? The moment Mrs. Thompson stepped inside, her kind eyes sparkled with acknowledgement. "Oh my, what a lovely aroma, Mary. It feels like home in here." The gentle warmth of community settled around them like a thick blanket, filling the corners of their hearts with connection. Over pie and stories, Mary leaned in. The conversation flowed, and she felt a strange blend of fear and hope dance together within her. How could she begin to express the change brewing in her? As the afternoon wearied into the evening, one question lingered in Mary's mind, echoing through her newfound resolve. Was she truly ready to embrace the possibility of change in her life? Would she start to carve out a space for self-care amid the whirlwind of motherhood? With the evening shadows stretching across the table, Mary felt the weight of tomorrow looming again. But as she watched her children, their laughter harmonizing with the warmth surrounding them, she realized maybe, just maybe, every leap into the unknown could lead to a brighter dawn. And just then, the phone buzzed against the table, a light of forgotten urgency cutting through the cozy atmosphere. Who could it be? Mary's heart raced again as she picked it up, hoping for anything that could propel her forward into a renewed journey. Mary's heart raced as she read the caller ID. It was Mrs. Thompson. With a deep breath, she answered, her voice steady despite the flutter of nerves. "Hello, Mary. I hope I'm not interrupting anything." Mrs. Thompson's voice held its usual warmth, but there was an edge of urgency that made Mary sit up a little straighter. "No, not at all. We were just enjoying some pie. How are you?" Mary replied, glancing at her children playing in the background. "I'm doing well, but I actually wanted to talk to you about something important." There was a pause on the line. The words hung in the air, heavy with implications. "Is everything okay?" Mary's stomach twisted just a bit. "I've been looking into support groups for families dealing with loss," Mrs. Thompson said softly. "I know it's been hard for you, and I thought it might be beneficial to connect with others who truly understand. The mention of a support group ignited a mix of emotions in Mary. Curiosity and apprehension swirled inside her. The idea of sharing her grief felt daunting, but so did the thought of remaining isolated in her pain. I don't know, she stammered. I mean, I'm trying to be strong for the kids. Being strong doesn't mean going through this alone, Mrs. Thompson replied gently. You're not doing anyone any favors by hiding from your feelings. It's okay to seek help. It could really lighten your heart. Mary took a deep breath, her heart yearning for connection, but also wanting to protect her family from more pain. Maybe I should consider it, she murmured, feeling unsettled but intrigued. A knock sounded at the door, breaking her moment of reflection. It was a neighbor, Gary, who had come to help with yard work. With his arrival, Mary's thoughts turned to the present. She cracked a smile as she waved him in. I'll call you back later, Mrs. Thompson. Thank you, she said before ending the call. Need an extra hand, Mary? Gary grinned as he stepped inside, glancing at the remnants of their labor in the yard. Yes, please. We're trying to make this place a little more welcoming, she replied, her voice brightening. The weight of uncertainty lingered, but didn't overshadow this budding hopefulness. As they gathered outside, Alex and Jamie rushed to show Gary the progress they made. Their energy filled the air while Mary exchanged small talk with him, feeling a sense of camaraderie that ignited a flicker of joy. For a moment, the way her heart soared at the warmth of community made her forget the heaviness that had coiled within her. But once the excitement settled, she found herself glancing up to the sky, watching as the clouds rolled in. An unsettling thought dug deep. What if she stepped away from her comfort zone with this support group, but ultimately felt even more lost? The kids, unaware of her struggle, laughed and chased each other while Gary shared stories from his childhood, filling the space with laughter that bounced off the walls of their home. Mary reluctantly found comfort in their bond, yet a nagging worry echoed in her mind. Would seeking help fracture the walls she was trying so hard to rebuild for her family? As the light began to fade, signaling that dusk was approaching, Mary made a decision. She couldn't shrink back into the shadows of fear any longer. Perhaps it was time to reach out not just for herself, but for the kids too. The hesitant resolve to engage with this new path sparked something deep within her. Just as she thought about the next steps, her phone buzzed again. It was a text from Mrs. Thompson, a reminder about the next meeting of the support group. At that moment, Mary knew she was standing at a crossroads. What path would she choose? Would she continue to let fear and uncertainty hold her back, or would she embrace the possibility of connection and healing? With that question hanging in the evening air, Mary felt the weight of her decision truly press upon her. What if stepping into the unknown meant finding not just solace, but a deeper strength she never knew she had? Would she muster the courage to take that leap? The next morning, Mary woke up before dawn. The house was silent, illuminated only by the soft filter of light peeking through the curtains. She lay still, staring at the ceiling, her mind racing with thoughts of the previous night as conversation. The decision she faced loomed like the shadows in her room, big and daunting. As she lay there, she could almost hear Mrs. Thompson's voice echoing in her head, urging her to reach out. Steeling herself, she sat up and swung her legs over the side of the bed. The cold touch of the floor jolted her into reality. Just a small step, she whispered to herself, and maybe I'll find a way forward. She moved to the kitchen, brewing coffee, letting the familiar ritual ground her. The aroma filled the air, wrapping around her like a warm blanket. As she poured the steaming liquid into her favorite mug, the thought of attending the support group floated again in her mind. Would it truly help? She wanted to believe it could. After breakfast, she found Alex and Jamie tugging at her pants, eager for attention. Their laughter echoed through the house, and in their playful chatter, Mary felt a pull of reason to keep pushing forward. Okay, kiddos, let us make this day count, she said, ruffling their hair. They stormed into the living room, ready to take on the day with creativity. After a round of silly forts and game battles, Mary stole a moment of peace in the nook of the living room. She grabbed her phone and texted Mrs. Thompson back, confirming her attendance at the support group that evening. The moment she hit send, relief washed over her. Yes, she was stepping into the unknown, but for the first time, she felt a hint of possibility. Late in the afternoon, as the sun dipped low, casting golden rays across the yard, Mary prepared for the meeting. She changed into something comfortable but nice, a small act that made her feel more confident. The kids giggled in the background as they played together, their innocence wrapping around her heart like a protective layer. When it was finally time to leave, Mary felt her pulse quicken. Fear nudged at her, reminding her of every reason to turn back. But the flicker of determination within her was stronger. She took a deep breath, reminding herself that being brave was a necessary part of healing. To the community center, she made her way through the gathering crowd, her heart racing with every step. The room buzzed with quiet conversations, and the atmosphere was gentle. She hesitated at the entrance, suddenly questioning the wisdom of her decision. "Mary?" came a familiar voice, drawing her attention. It was Mrs. Thompson, her warm smile cutting through the fog of anxiety. "I'm so glad you came." The welcoming presence gave her a rush of assurance. Mary's feet found their way inside the room as she joined a small group taking shape in the corner. A mix of emotions flooded her: fear, curiosity, and a budding hope. Would this gathering provide the comfort she sought? With each person that introduced themselves, a weight lifted from her shoulders, and Mary began to realize that sharing her pain didn't mean losing her strength. The room felt like a safe haven in that moment, with stories of grief blending into lessons of resilience. And as she sat, listening and nodding, Mary's heart began to open up, cautiously at first. Would this pathway lead to the healing she desperately craved for herself and her family? Questions lingered in her mind like leaves swirling in the breeze. Just then, another woman shared her story, and Mary felt her heart leap. Everything she had been fearing began to melt away. With newfound courage, Mary raised her hand, ready to speak. What would she say? How would her own voice blend with the stories surrounding her? It was time to share her truth. What would she uncover within herself, the healing, the strength? Would she find that stepping into the light illuminated a new path she never expected? Mary's hand trembled slightly as she spoke up, her voice a mix of resolve and uncertainty. "My name is Mary," she began, and she could feel the room's attention shift toward her. "I lost my husband a year ago, and it's been hard." A hush fell over the group as her words spilled out, like water flowing over jagged stones. She felt vulnerable, laid bare under the soft, empathetic gazes of the others. But there was a strange comfort in being watched, as if they were all sharing a collective breath, a bond forged through pain. "I'm here tonight because I want to find strength," she continued, her heart thumping as she struggled to keep her voice steady. "I would try to be there for my kids, to hold it together, but some days it feels impossible." A few heads nodded, understanding reflecting in their eyes. Mary felt tears prick her eyelids. She blinked them back, refusing to be overtaken. "I think I've been so focused on what I need to do for them that I've forgotten to take care of myself." The words hung in the air, weighted with truth. That very thought had haunted her for months. Yes, she recounted the days of wrestling with grief and the weight of responsibilities. The group listened intently. Each moment felt like a piece of a puzzle fitting together, revealing parts of herself she had kept hidden. There was solace in sharing, relief in releasing truths that had been bottled up for too long. As she wrapped up her thoughts, she noticed a woman across the room, nodding slowly, with tears glistening in her eyes. "You're not alone, Mary," she whispered, her voice almost breaking. "I felt the same way. We're all in this together." A wave of warmth washed over Mary. The realization that she wasn't isolated in her struggles blossomed into something powerful: hope. They shared their stories, pouring out their souls like a river flowing free. Each tale added color to their shared tapestry of heartache and healing. By the end of the meeting, Mary felt lighter. The burden of sorrow was still there, but it had shifted. She had taken a step forward, not just for her kids, but for herself. "Thank you for sharing with us, Mary," Mrs. Thompson said, her voice filled with compassion. "It's these conversations that build our strength." As Mary made her way to the exit, the buzz of conversation following her like an embrace, she felt new energy coursing through her veins. This might be the beginning of understanding how to heal, how to navigate her grief while still being the mother her children needed. When she got home, her heart was full, but her mind was busy. She tiptoed to the kids' room, peeking in at their peaceful faces. Each breath they took seemed to lift her spirit. She wanted to tell them everything, to let them know they would be okay, that she would be okay. The evening air wrapped gently around her, and for once, Mary felt a lightness in her heart. She made herself a cup of tea, settling into her favorite chair. A sense of possibility blossomed within her, a spark that maybe, just maybe, the healing journey would also lead her to discover who she truly was beyond loss. Yet, even as she relished this moment, a question teased at her mind. Where would this new path take her? What other discoveries awaited her just beyond this first step? She ran her fingers over the pages of her journal sitting on the table, wondering if it was time to pen down all those reflections and revelations. The thought flickered like a beacon, promising depth and growth. The truth was, stepping into the light had ignited her courage, and Mary knew she needed to explore it further. What truths might she uncover as she continued this journey? Would writing her story reshape her identity in unexpected ways? Mary sat in her favorite chair, the late-night silence wrapping around her like a warm blanket. The cup of tea rested on the table, steam curling upward, but her focus drifted toward the journal. The blank pages called to her, urging her to pour out her thoughts, emotions, and the fragments of her heart that still felt shattered. Taking a deep breath, she opened the journal. The pen hovered above the paper for a moment before she began to write. "Dear Journal," she scribbled, and the simple act felt like a release. Each stroke of the pen felt liberating, like shedding layers of grief that had accumulated over the past year. "I thought I was alone," she wrote, "lost in my sorrows. But tonight, I realized I'm part of a larger story, a tapestry woven with threads of pain and healing." The words flowed like a river, carrying her memories, her fears, and her newfound hope. As she wrote, Mary found herself smiling at the little moments, the way her kids would burst into laughter while playing, the first time she managed to coax a smile from her daughter after months of sadness, and how the tiny flowers in the garden seemed to bloom just for them. These moments, though simple, became tiny life buoys in her sea of grief. But her thoughts didn't stop there. She found herself grappling with a different fear, that perhaps she wasn't just grieving her husband, but also the woman she used to be before the weight of responsibility and loss consumed her. "What did I want for myself?" she wrote. "What dreams did I set aside while tending to my family's needs?" As she paused, the question reverberated in her mind. She didn't have the answer yet, but she knew finding it would be part of her healing journey. She had left pieces of herself behind, and the time had come to reclaim them. That'd be why the time she finished writing, it felt like a small piece of her heart had been stitched back together. It surprised her how liberating it felt to confront her fears with ink and paper. Mary folded the journal and placed it back on the table, a sense of accomplishment brewing inside her. Tomorrow would be different, she decided. She would start small, perhaps a walk in the park, or even a chance to sign up for that art class she had often dreamed about, but never dared to pursue. It was time to rediscover the joy she once had bubbling inside her. Just then, she heard a soft whimper from her children's room. A mix of concern and affection surged within her. She tiptoed towards their door, peeking in at their slumbering forms. Her heart swelled at the sight. They were her world, but Mary realized she couldn't pour from an empty cup. She needed to be whole for them, just as much as she needed to be whole for herself. While tucking in her daughter's blanket, a sudden thought struck her. What if she could combine her new journey with being a better mother? Maybe sharing her discoveries could inspire her kids too, showing them how healing works, how you can grow through grief and embrace life again. As she returned to her chair, a glowing warmth spread through her. She would write about her journey, not just for herself, but for them. Each page would be a step toward not only healing, but living fully. As the clock ticked softly in the background, Mary felt a shift inside her, a blossoming sense of excitement. "This is just the beginning," she whispered to herself. "But what if my next steps lead me to the dreams I once had? What will my story look like when I'm no longer just surviving, but truly living again?" The questions lingered like a sweet melody, dancing in the air around her. She closed her eyes, heart racing with hope, ready to uncover whatever awaited her on this new path. Would she find strength in this journey, or would unexpected challenges lurk around the corner? Mary awoke the next morning to a quiet house. The sunlight streamed through the curtains, casting a soft glow that made the air feel alive. Today was the day she had promised herself to begin anew. She could almost hear her heart sing with anticipation. After getting the children settled with breakfast, she took a deep breath and stepped outside. The morning air was crisp and refreshing. As she walked through the small garden, she noticed the flowers were bursting with color, just as her hopes had begun to. Each blossom swayed gently, as if cheering her on. A nearby park beckoned her. The thought of walking among the trees, listening to leaves rustling in the wind, filled her with a sense of thrill. She had spent so long indoors, stifled by sorrow. Today, she would embrace the world outside. As she entered the park, laughter danced through the air from a group of children playing. Mary couldn't help but smile at the joy radiating from them. It felt contagious. She walked along the path, the sun warming her face, grounding her in the moment. Each step felt lighter than the last, the weight of yesterday slowly drifting away like a forgotten memory. Her thoughts turned to art. The class she had dreamed of joining last year still lingered in her mind like an unfinished song. Painting had always been her escape. What had stopped her from picking up a brush, from letting color flow onto canvas? "I won't let fear keep me from my passion any longer," she whispered to herself, stopping under a sprawling oak tree. Suddenly, she felt a sense of urgency and eagerness to share this journey with her children. They were young and impressionable, learning about dreams and healing, expressing themselves through art. Help them too? The thought sparked a fire within her, igniting a vision of watercolor afternoons and evenings filled with laughter and creativity. While pondering this, she noticed a small group gathered around a street artist. He was painting a vibrant mural on a bare wall, colors mixing magically before their eyes. She joined the crowd, mesmerized, as the artist transformed a simple canvas into a burst of life. The colors seemed to pulse with energy, much like the newfound energy within her. As the mural took shape, she struck up a conversation with a few of the onlookers. They shared their stories, their dreams, their fears. Tears glistened in the eyes of a woman whose husband had recently passed, mirroring Mary's own journey. In this moment of connection, Mary felt less isolated. They were all travelers seeking solace, healing, and a way to navigate their pain. After the mural was complete, a wave of applause erupted from the crowd. Mary joined in, feeling grateful. Maybe community was just as vital to her healing as her personal exploration. Perhaps it was time to create something beautiful together, not just as individuals, but as a collective healing. As Mary walked back home, she put one foot in front of the other, already formulating a plan. She envisioned a small gathering in her living room, a place where her children and their friends could paint, share stories, and support one another. She wanted to cultivate an atmosphere of creativity, where both she and her kids could express themselves freely. With excitement blooming in her chest, she rushed to grab her journal, her heart racing at the thought of this new chapter. But then a thought crept in. What if it wasn't just her children who needed this gathering? What if it was a way to bring in others from her community, those feeling as lost as she once was? The challenge felt daunting, yet exhilarating, as so many uncertainties danced in her head. What if it didn't go well? What if nobody showed? But before she could spiral into doubt, she caught a glimpse of the mural she had seen earlier, vibrant and alive. Tomorrow, She said to herself, I'll start putting everything into motion. Tomorrow, I'll reach out. Little did she know that one step toward building a community would turn her journey of healing into something much larger than herself. Would this new adventure bring her the solace she desired or unravel something unexpected? The day that followed was a whirlwind of inspiration and small, decisive actions. Mary woke early, giddy with anticipation. The children were still asleep, their faces peaceful in the soft morning light. She tiptoed into the kitchen, making her coffee and contemplating the plan she had crafted in her mind. With steaming cup in hand, Mary settled on the cozy couch, clutching her journal. The blank pages beckoned. They were filled with possibilities. She scribbled down her ideas: an art gathering for kids, an open invitation for anyone in the neighborhood, and even the notion of connecting with the street artist to invite him for a collaborative project. Each word she wrote made her heart race. The thought of sharing and creating a space for healing was intoxicating. Her eyes glistened with determination as she thought about how vibrant her living room could become, filled with splashes of color and children's laughter. It was time to break the silence of her heart. Once the children awoke, Mary gathered them in a circle on the living room floor. She shared her vision, her voice alive with excitement. What if we create a space right here at home where kids can paint and play? A place where they can express themselves and share their stories? Her words hung in the air, hopeful and bright. The children's eyes sparkled as they began imagining it. Her eldest, Jacob, a quiet boy with an artistic flair, chimed in, "Can we paint big things like dragons and spaceships?" "Absolutely," Mary exclaimed, her joy swelling. The mere idea of their imaginations coming to life filled her with a warmth she hadn't felt in ages. The creativity shared between them opened the door for Mary to express her own emotions as they planned. As Jacob sketched rough drafts of dragons, her younger daughter, Lily, began arranging an old box of crayons and paints that sat untouched in their closet. With each moment, Mary felt a little more weight lift off her shoulders. After breakfast, she decided it was time to reach out to the community. Alone, she felt a flutter of anxiety rise in her chest. But she was driven now, no longer tethered to fears that had held her back for so long. Mary pulled out her phone, her hands trembling slightly as she typed out a message inviting families near her to join this artistic quest. Let us gather for a fun day of painting and sharing stories. Let us connect through art. The message felt empowering, like a lifeline to others who might be searching for light in their own darkness. That it didn't take long for responses to trickle in. Acceptance from parents who resonated with her idea, excitement from children who just wanted to paint. The community was more willing than she'd ever imagined. The days blended into a blur of preparations. Mary transformed her living room with old newspapers, bright canvases, paintbrushes, and an assortment of colors that seemed to reflect her heart. She even reached out to the street artist, who agreed to make an appearance and share techniques with them. Excitement surged through her. Yet, an undercurrent of doubt still shadowed her thoughts. What if it was too much? What if the day didn't go as she envisioned? Caught between hope and fear, she took a deep breath. That evening, children began showing up, bright-eyed and eager. As they poured into her home, laughter filled the air, tangible and liberating. But as the revelry unfolded, Mary noticed a familiar face among the crowd, the woman she had met at the mural unveiling, the one with tears shimmering in her eyes. What was she here for? Could sharing art heal wounds she couldn't even see? The room pulsed with energy, but her heart raced with questions. As the paint splattered and the children giggled, Mary felt a shift leaning towards healing, yet a sense of uncertainty loomed over the gathering. Why had they come? Was this a start or an unraveling of something profound? The moment felt like a starting gate, the possibilities swirling around her intently, both exhilarating and terrifying. Could this be the very thing they all needed, or the beginning of chaos? The atmosphere crackled with energy as children filled Mary's living room. their infectious laughter weaving through the air like music. Colors burst from the paintbrushes they wielded with glee. Vivid reds, electric blues, and sunny yellows mixed together on canvases, sides of walls, and even the floor. It was more than just art. It was a celebration of freedom, of imagination unfurling in every direction. And yet, through the joyous chaos, Mary's gaze found its way back to the woman with the shimmering tears, Ella. That's what she had said her name was. Ella stood at the edge of the room, her hands clasped tightly in front of her. Even amidst the joyful clamor, there was a stillness about her, a feeling that she stood on the brink of something deeper. "Would you like to paint something?" Mary called out, her heart thudding a little faster with each moment. "Oh, I don't know." Ella hesitated, glancing around at the vibrant scene unfolding. "Please, no pressure. Just join us if you'd like," Mary offered, her warmth reaching out. Ella's lips curled into a hesitant smile, and she finally stepped closer. With a gentle nudge from a nearby child, a small tin of paint found its way into Ella's hands. It was a simple gesture, but for some reason, it pulled at something deep within Mary. Why did this woman come here? As children began asking Ella questions about her own artistic experiences, Mary watched as the tension in her shoulders began to ease. She responded hesitantly at first, but with every laugh, every playful jab from the kids, the layers around Ella's heart began to peel away. The engagement brought light into her eyes, a spark of something that had seemingly dimmed for too long. "Remember that time we painted the sky, Mom?" Jacob exclaimed, his dragon evolving on the canvas before him. "We should do it again. Look at all my colors." Mary beamed with pride, but her eyes flickered back to Ella, who was sitting cross-legged on the floor with Lily, giggling as they smeared paint onto their shared canvas. The magic of the moment wrapped around Mary like a warm hug. But underneath that warmth, her heart thudded with unanswered questions. What did Ella need from this gathering? Did she come expecting to heal a wound that remained unseen? The room pulsed with energy, laughter mingling with paint splatters, but Mary's heart felt heavy with uncertainty. Somewhere beneath the surface, she wondered about the stories that shaped each of these attendees. How many were seeking solace or understanding? How many were broken, their paths twisted by life's unpredictability? Then, Ella caught Mary's eye, a small smile crossing her face. "I haven't painted in years. I forgot how freeing it can be." Mary felt a rush of connection, a shared understanding of what art could do. It held the power to be a force of change, to heal in ways words sometimes couldn't. As the joy of creation filled the space, laughter erupted, the sweet aroma of childhood filling every corner. But amidst the celebration, a thought nagged at Mary. What would happen when the paint dried? Would the joy continue? Or would they all carry their burdens back into the quiet of their lives? The kids were finishing their creations, bumping into one another, sharing tales infused with wild imagination. Yet, as Mary took a breath, she wondered if they were all drifting into a world where colors could ebb away like fleeting moments of joy. She had taken a leap, but was it enough? Had she really reached anyone? The day felt like a magic trick, the sparkle of possibility hanging heavy in the air. But with the gathering winding down, questions lingered. What would it mean for all of them to walk away from this painted sanctuary? What lay ahead on their journeys together? Mary realized that the answers didn't lie solely in her hands. This was collective healing, a starting point. As the art stood vibrant on the walls, one thing became clear. This was not just about art. It was about connection, friendship, and the courage to share their stories. But just as she began to feel the hope surge, a sudden commotion erupted at the door, a knock that shattered the fleeting moment of peace. Who could that be? She felt the air shift with tension, anticipation curling around her like a blanket. Would this visitor bring more light to their gathering? Or was it the storm that could unravel everything they had begun to weave? Mary stood frozen, contemplating the rhythm of laughter and creativity receding as the knock at the door echoed through her heart. Everyone paused, paintbrushes suspended mid-air, kids' eyes darting toward her, curiosity painted on their little faces. "Do you want me to get it, Mom?" Jacob offered, and with a nod, he rushed to the door. Mary's heart thumped loudly in her chest, uncertainty mixing with hope. The atmosphere felt electric, charged with creativity, yet she wondered who would step into their colorful sanctuary. The door creaked open to reveal a familiar face, Mrs. Thompson, her countenance illuminated by the gentle glow of the evening sun. "Mary!" she exclaimed, her laughter ringing clear as she stepped inside. "I thought I'd find you here." Relief washed over Mary as she donned a smile. Her spirit lifted instantly. "We're having an art day. Can you believe it?" Mrs. Thompson laughed, taking in the vibrant scene unfolding with widened eyes. "This is beautiful. You have created a wonderful space here, Mary." As the comforting embrace of friendship enveloped them, Mary felt warmth seep into her heart. Mrs. Thompson knelt to engage with the children, and their laughter soon joined the chorus around the room, weaving in perfectly. In that moment, Mary realized that maybe, just maybe, the burden she had carried began to ebb. Yet, as the whirlwind of art and laughter surged back, her mind flickered to Ella, who still sat silently, her canvas now speckled with colors, but her gaze seemed contemplative. Mary wandered over, meeting her eyes. "How are you doing?" she asked softly, sensing the depth of feelings still swirling inside Ella. I didn't expect to feel this way," Ella replied, her voice a whisper. "Painting, it brings back memories, happy ones. But it also makes the loneliness feel larger." Mary nodded, the connection between them strengthening, tethered by the threads of shared pain and healing. "Sometimes sharing our stories makes that loneliness feel lighter," she replied gently. "This space is for all of us." As the gathering continued to fill with laughter, Mary had an idea. She stood at the center, drawing the kids' attention. "Everyone, I want to share something special. Thank you for creating this art with me. Now, let us make this moment last. Would you like to share a story about what you painted? It could be anything, your wildest dreams or your happiest day." The children's excitement bubbled over, racing to say who would go first. Each little tale brought the room closer together, weaving narratives of imagination, adventure, and the bittersweet flavors life sometimes thrusts upon us. Ella listened, a smile gracing her features as she began to share snippets of her own life, revealing lost dreams and hidden passions like petals unfurling to the sun. Mary felt a jolt of realization. This was the magic of community, the power of shared experience, the collective healing that pierced through the fog of loneliness. It was as if the walls of their lives were softening, and in their honesty, they found courage. As the evening faded into a mosaic of colors and laughter, Mary pulled out her journal. "Can I share something too?" she asked, inviting trust into the circle. "Once I lost my way completely, but I stepped into the light of friends and community, and you all have shown me how beautiful life can be when we come together." With every word spoken, the barriers shed like dry leaves in the autumn wind, uncovering bright green shoots beneath. There was laughter, tears, and moments where joy melted away the darkness, creating not only art, but a beautiful tapestry of resilience. The connections formed that night felt like a balm on their healing wounds. As the evening wove to its end, and parents began picking up their children, Ella lingered a moment longer. "Mary, thank you for this," she said, her voice steady. "I didn't know I needed it until I felt it." Mary smiled, a sense of purpose blossoming inside her. "This is just the beginning," she said thoughtfully. "You're all welcome to come back and create again. We'll continue to heal together." And in that shared understanding, a spark was ignited. They didn't need to navigate lives alone anymore. They were a community supporting one another through shared art, dreams, and stories. As Mary cleaned up the remnants of paint and laughter, she felt the structure of her heart solidifying into something beautiful. Together, they would explore healing, connection, and joy in a world that had once felt impossibly heavy. The next morning, Mary woke up, a gentle calmness washing over her. With renewed spirit, she grabbed her journal, ready to write about not just what was happening in her life, but how they could turn their gathering into a regular source of strength and creativity. This journey was not just about her healing. This was theirs together, a community intertwined in love and resilience. She would reach out, inviting everyone again to contribute to this tapestry, a movement born of pain, but reborn in brightness. And so, holding hope tight in her heart, she began to write once more. Now is your chance to make a difference. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories that can transform lives just like Mary S. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and let us know you care. Comment below with your reactions and feelings about this ending. We want to hear your stories too. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait, not even one more second. Your support means everything. Only true fans like you understand the importance of uplifting our community through these actions.